Get what you want with the law of assumption. This works fast, a powerful method that will change your life quickly. Hi, everyone. Robert Zink, miracle mentor and alchemy life coach. And today we are soaring high like a big, beautiful eagle. And we're always flying in the direction of your dreams and goals. So I started to learn about the law of assumption many years ago. I was asked to volunteer and take over a group of kids who had never won a game in basketball. It was a league, and they had a team. And they said, nobody wants to coach this team. I said, oh, well, I'll take it. I don't have any kids on the team, so I can't play favorites. I'll just have a lot of fun doing it, and it'll be fun because I'll get in shape, shoot some baskets with the kids. Long story short, I began studying a man who arguably is and was, I should say, the best basketball coach of all times. Now, if you're not into basketball, this still applies to you, so listen. John Wooden had written numerous books about the experience, about the feeling of coaching basketball. And he had won more games than anybody else. So I started studying his books because I didn't really know anything about basketball. And I started studying it. And then one night, I realized that I was becoming John Wooden, that I was starting to think like him, that his words were showing up in my practice. His exercises were showing up in our practice. And everything was beginning to shift. Everything was beginning to change. And I got a little nervous about it. I go, wow, I'm really taking on this guy's persona. And then I also realized that I had also included myself in there as well. So I had married the great John Wooden with Robert Zink. And we went on to play in the city championship that year. We lost the city championship, but we had won most every game during the season. And I know now why we lost the city championship, because my goal all season long was to get to the city championship. I never said I want to win the city championship. I never said I will win the city championship. Our goal is to get to the city championship. Anyway, I assumed the energy and the vibration and the thought forms of the late, great John Wooden. And you can do that to save your marriage, to get a specific person, to make a pile of money, to get rich, to win the lottery, whatever it is that is important to you. So high flyers, Neville Goddard says, pretend you've already achieved your goal or your aim. And I don't like that word pretend. I understand what he was saying, but why not just use the word that we're talking about? Assume. Assume means that you are acting with a sense of certainty that you are achieving your aim, that business is going to grow faster than it's ever grown, that your relationship is going to get better than it's ever gotten, that you're going to make more money than you've ever made. Assume it, because when you assume it, you become it. When you assume it, you become it, and that is how you manifest it. High flyers, all the great ones such as Leonardo da Vinci to Albert Einstein to Walt Disney, all of them said imagination creates your reality. Imagination creates your reality. You think your reality creates your imagination. That's what you've been told all your life. Even psychologists today and dream scientists, they say, well, you're dreaming about things that you've already experienced. I don't believe that, do you? I think we oftentimes dream about things that we haven't yet experienced. Sometimes in symbolic form, sometimes in vivid detail. Imagination creates your reality. So what does that mean? What does that mean? That means you want to put your emphasis on your imagination. And that's part of the law of assumption. Assuming certain factors about any given thing, and then imagining those factors, imagining those qualities, imagining those emotions, because you have to have emotions in there, imagining those emotions, and then letting it become your reality. Neville Goddard says, if you assume means that I'm already planning on it. I've already packed my bags. I'm ready to go. If you assume success, you cannot fail. Whatever it is, if you assume the wish fulfilled, and that is how you plan and live your life, you have no choice but to receive it. Your assumption to be effective cannot be a single isolated act. It must be maintained. In other words, high flyers, you don't assume it and then let it go. You assume it and maintain it. It's who I am. It's what I've become. You know, so many great people in every walk of life. For years, almost every great politician, if there is such a thing, great politician in this country said, I was inspired by the late John F. Kennedy. And they would sit and watch his videos. Maybe they were too young to know him when he was alive. They emulated his hairstyle. They emulated his speech techniques. They didn't copy them. There's a difference between copying and assuming. They assume the qualities. And so what is it that you desire? What is it that you really desire in your life to become so you can have? Do you desire a successful business? Let's look at one person that you admire that started with nothing, that struggled, that went against opposition, that had incredible competition. Look for that one person. Study that person. Learn about that person. Learn how that person felt. And then allow that person's energy to become part of yours, because that energy hasn't dissipated. It's still out there and you can tap into it. The law of assumption essentially is having an attitude of the wish fulfilled. The late MacGregor Mathers, a great mystic, said, imagine that thou art there, and thou art. When you imagine it to the point of absolute intensity, to the point of almost ridiculousness, to the point where you can feel every detail, every color's in place, every movement. When it's that crisp and that clear, the wish fulfilled, you have no choice but to receive that wish. So you could look at someone who had a great love affair, and maybe they were up against odds. I mean, it didn't have to be a real person either, because if it was created out of the imagination of a human being, it's real. Romeo and Juliet, for example, they're as real as any two couple that lived physically. So what did they have that maybe your relationship lacks? Did they always want to see each other? Did they always want to be together? Were they willing to take risks to be together? Was their love more important than anything else in the world? You see, when you tap into that energy and assume it for yourself and your relationship, you bring that energy to your relationship. It's the law of assumption. And that's the method. In ancient mystical times, mystics would assume a God form. You don't have to assume a God form. You have plenty of examples in the world of people that have done what you want to do. And you can take whatever they've done, whatever they became, and you can take it to the next level in your own life. But it involves giving up doubt. It involves giving up fear. It involves giving up anger. And it says, I'm going to assume this life for myself. The great Muhammad Ali said, I knew I was the greatest before I ever said I was the greatest. What are you the greatest at? That may yet to be determined. Whatever you choose to assume. So pick an archetype. An archetype is somebody that lived before you, somebody that you can model yourself after. Assume their energy, assume their mental state, assume their actions, assume their beliefs, and you will get their outcome in your own life, in your own way. The law of assumption. Work with the law of vibration and the law of attraction. That threesome is powerful, high flyers. Extremely powerful. Okay, here's some other videos to help you on your journey.